Welcome to Dungeon Class. I'm Gonzo. This is Logan, and today we're talking about how to make magic items great again. Stay with us.
Then they do the intro. They drop the intro right here, right?
Yeah, you haven't done this before. It actually flashes across the screen while we're talking. So they've
It's
heard
high-tech.
every word you said.
That's high tech.
Speaking of hearing every word that we've said, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel now. Hit the bell for notifications and let us know in the comments below if there's a way that you would make magic items great again for your campaign. So Logan, let's talk about this.
Let's do it.
Magic items in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition.
Well, what's the problem? Magic items are cool.
They
Everyone
are
likes
cool.
magic
It's one of the
items.
coolest parts of playing the game because you're built as a player to go in, conquer, and then see what you get. I mean, that's especially in video games, that's kind of how things go.
Yeah.
And in 5th edition, there are tons of magic items that you're able to get. But as a dungeon master, you can quickly see that there starts to become a few problems building up. One of them is that there may be just too many, especially if you're playing with a party like we do, where there's 5, 6, sometimes 7 players. And if each player by 5th, 6th level has 2 or even a third magic item, that's a lot. And I don't want to say it breaks the game, but it
breaks the game.
It feels like they already have, players have so many advantages already, including being able to roll with advantage. But when you have that many magic items in play on top of their skills, on top of their abilities, their spell casting, it really can overflow the game with nothing can stop us. And so this is one thing that we could work on toning that down a little bit. Another problem may be that they're just too overpowered, depending on what you as a dungeon master gave to them. And I've made this problem many times, especially when I first started. I saw this really cool magic item, and I'm like, I want my player to have that and watch him use it in the game. And all of a sudden, it is overpowered, especially for the level that he achieved it or whatever. So that can be a thing. And there's other problems, too, that we may talk about. But let's work on how do we make magic items more important in the game, make them great again. What's the first tip?
I think the first thing you can do right off the bat is just make them a little bit more rare. Make them harder to find. Don't start people off with magic items. Make them work for it. Make them earn it. And that already will kind of help them to stand out. There's that line from Incredibles when the bad guy Syndrome, his whole plot is to pretend to be a superhero and then sell his gadgets that makes him super to everybody. And his line is, when everyone's super, no one will be. And so, it's like if everyone can fly, if everyone has, a magic sword or a magic weapon, it takes
a deck of many things, Vorpal swords left and right, and a bow they can't miss, and those kind of things. Yeah, it's fun, and when you're a kid, that's what you envision, and it's what you want. But when you have those so many to choose from, it almost takes away from your character. Like, what can your character do? Yeah. So that may be an issue too. So making them rare is a great tip. Making it that when they do find magic items, it's something special, something, or they had to go through something crazy to get to it. Okay.
Which I think leads us into our next thought, was that you want the magic items to be tied to the story. And tied to the story meaning that it's tied to the background of the players. It's a goal of the players to find this magic item or to use it. Or maybe the magic item belongs to a villain or to a monster. I think a great example, think of Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Powerful magical artifact that is tied to the main villain, tied to Sauron, that one ring. It's got cool abilities, but, it's not just, oh, hey, look, a magic ring. Kind of like when Bilbo finds it in The Hobbit. And, oh, this is so nice. I'm invisible. Right. Automatically that magic item has so much more weight and is so much cooler when it's tied to the history that it has.
So giving the item an identity, giving the item a story, that in itself, King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, is a great movie. I liked it. We'll do a review here on this channel. I don't think Mark liked it, so he may give it a thumbs down. But regardless, that movie did a great job of showing the power of the sword, and we're going to talk about that in the next
Excalibur.
tip. Yeah, of Excalibur. But when I created a character, a bard, what I gave to the DM as part of my backstory was his life's ambition is to find the guitar of Springsteen. It's just a fabled guitar that all bards want.
Yeah.
And my DM did a great job of leading me on, eventually getting to where I would hear rumors of where it was. He even created the item, which he created out of thin air, which you can do too, and then gave it special powers. And it felt really cool that by the time I got to it, was able to get it in a sing off with another bard, and have that magic item. It was a goal that my character had.
Yeah.
So it really helped the story to progress for me as a player. And anytime you can do that, then your players are more engaged, which is part of making the game great. So,
and how much more epic is that to go through all that work to get the item instead of, okay, you loot the body, you find a magic guitar, or you find a treasure chest. There's a magic guitar. Yeah. Because I think helping keep them rare, helping them keep tied to the story. If there is not just that it's just a magic item, it's just a powerful artifact that's just kind of sitting out there in the world, there's going to be other people, monsters, creatures, forces, whatever, that also want this item. Maybe there's competition for it. Maybe
there probably would be.
Yeah,
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. And if your player comes to you and says, I want to get a Vorpal sword, that as a dungeon master, that's gold, because you can say, at some point they hear a rumor, there's someone that has a Vorpal sword. It's the Fire Giant King, over there. Well, then they're going to be like leaning towards it. Gives the dungeon master a story element. Yeah. It gives, you're dangling the carrot in front of the horse. So it's working out well. That leads us right to the next one, and that's low-level magic items. We do want to give them magic items. Yeah. We want to reward our players, and you want them to feel that these items are special. But giving them high-level ones or very powerful things, the deck of many things and those kind of things where all kinds of crazy stuff can happen, can influence the game in ways you may not like. But anything they find should have some kind of flavor. Yeah, something about it that helps them in certain instances where they can feel like, this is cool to have, and it doesn't break the game. They're not plus 10 on everything, whatever.
And we just played a game the other day. We had some friends come over. Our friends Mike and Josh played with us, and Josh wanted to find a magic item in the very first shop that we attended, but of course we're level 1.
You had no money. I said, why do you want to go shopping? I got, my background, I got
like 10 gold.
Box. Yeah, 10 gold, and he had a music box, and so he wanted to go shopping, and as a dungeon master, you kind of roll with it when your players decide to do something. So what we did was they went in, they tried to barter with that music box. I had them roll a few times to persuade and to make the box do some cool things, and I gave them something. And what I came up with was just he was looking for a magical monocle, which would be really cool. I mean, that's kind of cool. It's not in your Dungeon Master's Guide, I don't think, but why not? So I said, it's a magical monocle. When you place it on something, you can see through it. So if it's a door, or a concrete wall.
I think it had charges. You could use
one or two charges a day. Yeah, something to keep it where they can't use it every door, but that one door that's important.
It had a check and a balance on it. Yeah. It had... it wasn't like you can cast Fireball through it every 4 seconds. It wasn't super overpowered, but it was really cool. Because, in this fantastical world of dragons and wizards and stuff, of course there's going to be just random magic things lying around, and they don't have to be the most powerful things. And sometimes those little trinkets, people will love the most because they're like, there's my lucky monocle.
They're personal. They can use them often. And if they want, if you want to give them +1 daggers, +1, arrows, give them flavor. Do something with them where they're a little more special. Maybe they light up when you get it to your bow and you shoot it off. Maybe it lights up, and leaves a trail of sparks behind it or something. Or maybe it's cold to the touch when they pick up the dagger and it does a D4 cold damage. That won't break the game at all, but it will add a lot of story to the game, because when they swing that dagger, there's like a flurry of snow behind it, and they've cold to it. I don't know.
Maybe it's got a cool name like Frostfang for that snowy dagger.
Icing Death and what was his other one? Twinkle and Icing Death. So name the item. That can make it epic as well. So our 4 tips, make it rare, tie it to the story. We have one last one that we didn't really talk about, and this is going back to King Arthur's Legend of the Sword, Excalibur, and what is that?
So that is utilizing a technique that I personally first saw with Matt Mercer's use of having artifacts being dormant, awakened, or exalted.
That's perfect.
A magic item is really cool, And a player is really cool, but one of the best parts about being a player is you level up. You get new abilities, you get new spells, you get new stuff. The magic item, if it's got a good, if it's rare, hard to find, if it's tied to this person's background somehow, if it's got cool flavor,
my great grandfather's sword of poison, whatever,
and it looks cool, but maybe it starts low level as they get at a low level. As they level up, what if that sword levels up with them? Yeah. What if as they start off, as they complete quests, maybe they wipe out some enemy that's plagued their family bloodline for centuries. Right. That sword awakens, and now it doesn't just do maybe it's not just a +1. Maybe it goes straight to +2. Maybe it gets a new thing.
It gets
maybe
new abilities too.
You can shoot poison spray. Right. You could go, and maybe when this guy's a level 18 fighter with this sword, maybe it's just always does 2d6 poison damage in every hit, just constantly charged with this poisonous power. That's just an example. You could get, armor. Maybe.
Well, there are examples in the book there,
there's
right?
Tons.
There's quite a few. So
there's tons.
Why don't you tell them what book it is? I know there's something in there that you want to share with them too that'll help them understand.
Yeah.
What is a dormant, awakened, exalted sword look like, or magic item in general?
This is from the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. Super awesome book. Page 270. It talks about the vestiges of divergence. That already lets you know these aren't just magical items. These are rare artifacts. Right. And they talk about dormant, awakened, and exalted states. Quick sentence from it says, the properties and features gained at each new state are cumulative with the properties and features granted at a previous state, unless otherwise noted. So these things kind of build upon each other. They get stronger as they go. And this one sentence is so cool. Through extreme personal challenge, evolution, and achievement, these artifacts can reach their ultimate potential.
Right. And that was a fun part of that King Arthur movie, was that when he first got the sword, it was like any other sword he held. Maybe it was special and it was balanced well and it was great to use, but it wasn't super special until he learned to master it over the length of the movie, and pulled out its full potential. And that builds to again, it builds back to story, which builds to engagement of the players being involved with the game itself, because they're looking to advance not just them. And it's kind of nice that if you gave someone, your barbarian gets his grandpa's axe at second level, he's not overpowered at second level. You didn't get this, he advances and this weapon advances with him. It just feels more right. That's one of my favorite tips, because it feels like that's the way that players would be more engaged with the whole part of it, and not always asking for more weapons or looking to go to the store and trade it in for an upgrade like we do with our cell phones every year. So, all right, Logan, those are some great tips, 4 great tips to help make magic items great again. And if you haven't seen our video, it should be up here, somewhere over here. Okay. But we made a video on top 5 magic items for rogues. That'll give you an idea of some different things you can pull out of the Dungeon Master's Guide and other resources to make it a more flavorful magic item to give to your player versus just the +1, +2 nerdy stuff that we also enjoy. So,
and think of ways that those items can be improved. Think of how they can level up. And if you guys have any awesome ideas for other kinds of magical stuffs, let us know in the comments.
Share. Yeah.
Like the videos, subscribe if you didn't already, and then unsubscribe and subscribe again.
No, don't unsubscribe. Just
do it.
Create multiple accounts and then subscribe multiple times.
Even
and with that, class dismissed.